What's going on, everyone? Today I want to talk about seven deadly emotions that we face when we're investing or trading. It happens to both types of categories. What these emotions are, and I'm sure there's a lot more that I'm not going to mention today, and just kind of like how I deal with them. And I'd love to know the emotions you face and the struggles you face when you're investing or trading. This is Mike, the Tactical Stock Scalper. All right. I have my notes here, so I may look down from time to time. I want to talk about fear, greed, pride, complacency, regret, the old "it can't happen to me," and keeping up with the Joneses. So first, fear. Okay, there's two types of fear, right? There's a fear of getting invested, a fear of maybe actually trading and losing money, and how this fear could limit you in potential growth in your account. And I think this fear is natural. I think we all have it at some point. I know I have been guilty of all of these at one point or another and still struggle with some of them. So that fear, okay, of not entering positions and talking yourself out of doing whatever you need to do to benefit yourself or family can really be detrimental to you. And getting over that fear is really hard for a lot of people. So there's a way to do it, and that's to start very small, right? Because the more capital you have invested, the more fear can creep into you if the position fails or goes against you. Now, there's also fear of missing out, FOMO, right? As something is running, you're like, oh my gosh, look at all the money I should have went in here, but now this thing is ripping. So now I got to get in, and you get in, and inevitably, it's a top, right? Isn't that the way it happens? It's the freaking top. By the time the FOMO hits you, you press the buy button, and then of course, when you're buying at the top, the thing tanks, and there you are. And had you not had FOMO, and you just moved on to something else, you would have saved yourself a lot of heartache and grief. Now, for me, I really don't get FOMO anymore. I used to really bad years ago, especially when I was trading, and it hurt me. So I've learned after getting bit so many times to lay off the FOMO. And for me, that's one of the easier ones to lay off of. So there's that one. Now I want to talk about greed. Greed, I guess, when it comes to investing, okay, or trading, you let a position run thinking it's going to go higher and higher. You want to make more and more instead of taking profits. And, I think everyone is guilty of this at some point or another. And what I have found, what works for me, is just to take profits, even if it's small. It doesn't matter if it's trading or investing. Taking profits is crucial. And I am all about collecting base hits or doubles, if we want to use this analogy, versus trying to hit home runs. I can't tell you how many times through the years I let a trade run or an investment run trying to squeeze more out of it and waiting, and then something happens and it falls below where I was even going to take initial profits because my greed has got the best of me. So I have been really good recently, particularly when it comes to trading and investing, of taking money off the table and collecting base hits. I've been more successful, just me speaking here, doing that. I want to talk about pride. I see this a lot, right? And pride is always wanting, and I mean pride in this way, always wanting to be right. And I see this a lot on YouTube, especially, and sometimes in other social media platforms, but always have to be right. I'm always right. I'm never wrong. That pride will absolutely destroy you. And here's how I've come to grips with dealing with pride when it comes to investing and trading. I realize I know nothing. I realize that I cannot control the market. I do not know what the market's going to do or the stock I'm invested in. Once you come to grips with that you know nothing, quit trying to guess price action. What's the market going to do tomorrow? What's it going to do next week? Price action is always your guide. There's no reason to be prideful and try to guess and try to be right. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen different people say, yeah, buy this, I'm never wrong or whatever, and it goes up and they're like, see, I told you. As soon as I see someone say, see, I told you, they could have been wrong too, right? It's the market. It could go one way or the other. You don't determine how it moves. So when I see people this prideful, I try to back off of them because I know, just like me, they know nothing. The market's going to do what it's going to do, and that's why I love technical analysis, because it helps you buy in at levels. It doesn't guarantee it's going to work, but it gives you levels to buy and sell at. So always knowing you're right can be really bad. Next, complacency. And now, complacency hits a lot of people. And what I mean is you're fine with the status quo. You don't want to get yourself better. You don't want to learn trading. You just want to invest, let it go on about its business. You don't want to grow yourself. And that complacency, if things go awry, can really hurt you. I think it's important to learn new skills and get better at them as we go on and not be complacent. Always trying to learn. What about regret? Now, I've seen this in Discord, and there's some things in my Discord I was watching a couple weeks ago, and people were struggling with the position, and it was going down. And one of their comments was, if I sell it, it's a trade that they were in, and it was going against them. If I sell it and it goes back up, I'm going to regret selling it, right? You don't know what a trade is going to do. So for me, if there's a position that's dropping and I sell it for a loss and then it goes back up or whatever, I have no regrets because I don't know. Again, back to that thing of being prideful, of not knowing anything. I don't know what the market is going to do. Nobody does. You can make an educated guess, but you don't know with 100% certainty. So if something is going against me, and particularly in a trade, and I need to cut it for a loss, I will. And I will have no regrets doing it. This is something I struggled with early on in my trading career and investing career, of having regret. I can't control it. There's no reason to have regret. And once I've come to grips again with the prideful thing about I realize I know nothing, then having regret is gone. It's out the window. Next, it can't happen to me. Boy, I see this so much all the time. People think the market will continue to run. People think they won't get margin call. People think this, people think that it won't happen to them. Trust me, it will happen to you. It will. It's about mitigating risk the best you can. At least for me. I can't give advice, and I'm not giving advice. I'm talking about myself here and these emotions I deal with as an investor or a trader, or maybe you do as well. But it can't happen to me. And it will. It will happen to you. It's inevitable. What you think won't happen will happen. That's just the cycle of life, investing, everything else. And a lot of these are just great for, normal life emotions as well. But it can't happen to me is really dangerous. I try to think of it will happen to me, like the negative aspect, right? And that way I can prevent it, or at least mitigate some of the risk when it can't happen to me starts getting into my mind. The last one I want to talk about is keeping up with other people. And this is a kind of a danger of social media. Everyone, at least in the investment, there's not true in other parts of YouTube or investing social media. But when it comes to investing social media, this is rampant. And I've been guilty of this myself. Let me get a drink here. Sorry about that. Watching traffic go by. But yeah, keeping up with the Joneses is really dangerous to you. Why does it matter what someone else has? You should have your own goals and goals that you are trying to achieve. And any outside noise influencing your decisions about what somebody else has is detrimental to you. Nothing wrong with having dreams and chasing those dreams and goals, right? But to allow what someone else has to infiltrate your mind and you trying to keep up with them when you are not them. You don't have their risk tolerance. You may not have their budget. You know, there's a lot of factors here. So, excuse me. So, with that being said, try not to keep up with the Joneses. Have your own plan, your own goals, and don't worry about anyone else. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is Mike, Tactical Stock Scalper, out.